What's going on, guys? Coach Tice here, and I wanted to make this video to be able to share with you some updates on where I am at with content to sales as a business owner, share a bunch of things that I learned this year in business as of the end of Q2 and where we're at right now, and more importantly, let you guys know what the direction that we're going is and how we're going to continue to add value to the coaches that we serve. And so when I initially started content to sales in January 2023, I actually started it out as a micro content agency. And so my goal was to be able to leverage short form content, because obviously reels and video were super popular at the time. They still are, but like they were like the main thing at the time. And I saw an opportunity to be able to help coaches not only save time in their video editing and create a little bit of a stronger branding with video editing, but also leverage some of my intellectual property so that way they can put out content to actually nurture the leads and prospective client and traffic that they were getting from their client acquisition strategies. So let's just say that you were a coach and maybe your main client acquisition strategy was running Facebook ads. All those new followers and new leads that you will be getting from Facebook ads, you will be able to nurture those leads with the right video content. And so it actually started off as a really good model. However, there were some fundamental mistakes that I made, as well as some fundamental flaws inside of the micro content agency model that I learned very quickly. And so the first mistake that I actually made was simply just my perception of the value of done-for-you video editing to coaches and business owners. Now, the reason being is because the initial value was like, look, I can save you 5 to 10, maybe even 15 hours a week with video editing, but not only that, I can help you bring more qualified leads to your business because you have more content that is there to nurture them. Now, the reason why there was a little bit of flaws in the way that I was perceiving this value was because, number one, the micro content agency model became very commoditized very quickly. And so we went from, seeing value in having a video editor to like being able to use apps like CapCut or, captions to just simply add captions to your videos, as well as the fact that everybody has 5 to 10 people in the DM a day asking them if they can edit a video with them for free to try to upsell on their services. So it got commoditized real quick. And also I started to realize that even though short form content was really big on getting engagement, the real level of conversion still lied in long form content. Like, I still believe that if you want to attract quality aligned clients that want to work with you and respect you, that's going to happen inside of your long form content. Like, that's where the real homework is done with them. That's where they make those buying decisions. And so what I did to offset this sort of like this value perception and this commodity issue is I also offered consultation on coaches' messaging, so that way not only are they getting their videos done, but they feel more clear about the content that they're putting out, and that content and the value that they're putting out in that content was of course aligned with their offer. So now I was able to get a little bit of a leg up of a differentiation and start to rebuild that value gap while the market was getting commoditized. Now, another thing I did really well was that I did hire an operations consultant before I even started this business. So I was able to figure out a way that I can deliver quality edits to my clients. However, I realized that there was a lot more to consistently attracting and retaining quality editing and creator talent, especially when it's overseas. And so I was running into a couple of different challenges, mostly challenges that were able to be fixed by systems and just thinking my way out of them. But I just severely underestimated that. And what ended up happening is I was consistently dealing with these sort of operational bottlenecks that was taking me away from sort of the revenue generating bottlenecks inside of the business. And then my last big fundamental mistake was I severely underestimated how hard it is to please clients in more of this agency done for you model. Now, again, I didn't let this problem defeat me. I did a lot of work with onboarding, framing, setting client expectations, being super clear on deliverables. However, I realized that there were a couple of different variations of sort of my ideal client profile. And what I noticed was that I was working with different types of coaches and consultants, and their perception of value on the work that we were doing for them was kind of all over the place. Like, I even had one horror story where I worked with a coach who didn't actually launch their coaching business yet. However, they were just trying to get ahead in putting out content for their coaching business. And so I actually not only worked with them on their messaging and have my team do their done for you video editing, but I actually met with them in person and directed them through their content. So this was like actually a higher tier of my work. And this coach didn't really have a lot of experience at this point, this creator didn't really have a lot of experience on camera, didn't really have their story and their messaging put together. And so I did all of that work helping them do that. And I was actually able to get a lot of powerful storytelling from their content. And it really just extract a lot of content out of a 1-day content day from them. And I remember the first time we sent them a video, we sent them a sample video to kind of make sure that we had everything right from the theme of the video and the style. And this client completely disregarded the fact that we took her non-existent story and messaging and put it together and were able to capture it effectively. And she was just like, I don't like this. I need you to airbrush my face to have, like, I don't like the way my face looks. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, are you absolutely kidding me, right? And so I don't blame it on that client, right? I never blame my clients in any business. I blame it on not being able to clearly set those expectations of where the value in the content was. But not only that, I had some coaches that were service providers, some coaches that were like had coaching programs, some coaches that were about to launch a coaching program. And so because they were all in different places, it was hard for them to really see where content comes in for their ROI. Like, if you guys have watched my content for a while, I'm big on just putting content out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to have the perfect video edits or anything like that. You need to focus on the messaging and the quality of information you're putting behind a video. And that's one of my big things. However, when I was working with a coach that maybe wasn't necessarily immersed in sort of my frame of thinking when it comes to delivering content, and we were able to like pull out literally her signature story about why she started doing what she was doing, but she was focused on like hyper aesthetical edits. There was what we call a client expectation to like delivery misalignment, right? And so I was dealing with a little bit of that, and it just wasn't fun, right? It wasn't fun to be able to bring coaches a lot of value and they didn't see it, right? And so those are some of like the personal mistakes that I made. But what I also want to talk about is some of the fundamental flaws of the micro agency model as a whole. And so the first thing I kind of already spoke about, but it's the hypersaturation of the model. There are literally tons of people offering these services, and commoditization just started growing really, really fast. Now, the reason why that's an issue is because for a done-for-you model, there is a decent amount of overhead. You have to pay your editors. I had to pay, quality assurance team, all these different things to make sure that we were getting the right quality of content out to our clients. However, because the market started to commoditize it, you start to run into a really, really big margin issue, right? And so if you're in sort of any type of done for you, or especially this micro content agency model, like, you really want to make sure that you're adding value and you're creating gap in value beyond just the video edits themselves, because a lot of people just simply aren't willing to pay the price that makes sense for your model to actually even be a break even. A lot of people aren't willing to pay that if it's just video editing, because it's getting commoditized so much. Now, the second issue with the model, and this is probably more specific to the coaching and consulting industry, but this model has a very, very high level of churn. Now, this is partly just due to the nature of like done for you work. Now, one of the things I personally looked at is when I looked at all of my clients that were churning, 75% of them were churning for this one specific reason, and it's that they weren't consistently acquiring enough clients in their business monthly to justify paying for our services monthly. And so now you have this model where a lot of the churn is coming from things that you can't control. We were helping our clients with messaging and content. We weren't their sales coach at the time. We weren't in charge of like their client acquisition strategy or Facebook ads. So I wasn't really in control of how much revenue they can actually create from utilizing my services. And I was just like, yo, this churn is ridiculous. And I don't know if this is really a viable model to want to continue to try to optimize. And so this is where the opportunity actually opened up for coaching. Now, I had experience in client acquisition, ads, and all different types of ways to acquire clients from actually building my own high ticket fitness transformation business. However, when I realized that so many clients were like, oh man, I love the service, but like revenue is just down right now, I saw the opportunity to say, you know what, why don't I come fill this gap? If you're already liking what we're doing for you here and it's saving you tons of time and it's helping build your brand, but you just have a sales bottleneck, why don't we actually help you with that? And this is funny because my whole ideology in content to sales was, when I was building my high ticket fitness transformation business, I saw a direct correlation between the content that I was putting out and what was happening in my sales. Mostly because I began to understand buying psychology and sort of like the different journey that my prospects needed to go through, right, to make a decision to work with me. And so I'm like, wait, if we're already doing that and we're already connecting content and sales, why don't we simply help these coaches with their sales process, with their client acquisition strategies? And so that's when I started actually opening up to coaching. And so we took on our first set of coaching clients and they absolutely were smashing results. But not only that, now I was able to save them that time, get them clarity on their messaging, and really allow them to feel like they're building a solid brand, like that long-term brand. And they were able to see a return on investment, right, in working with me. And so once I did that, I kind of looked at my revenue and I realized that about 60% of my revenue came from coaching, right, in these last 2 quarters. However, I had almost triple the amount of agency clients that I did coaching clients. So I realized, okay, cool, what is the best way to really work this model in a way that is actually gonna deliver more value to coaches and be sustainable for the way that I wanna grow my business? And so that's when we moved to more of a done for you / coaching model here at Content to Sales, where we start from your messaging and your offer and we take it all the way to sales conversations and objections, helping you put the strategy together to acquire clients, and more importantly, helping you build skill sets. And that's another thing. Like, I didn't want to be another coach who just talks about revenue numbers and monthly revenue numbers all day without really putting coaches onto the fact that, like, look, if you want to grow and you want to scale, you're going to have to build skill sets. And one of the skill sets that the coaches who work with me are able to build is that they're able to build skill sets in like their messaging, their storytelling, building belief around the solution that they have, value articulation. They're able to build the skill set in content, being able to confidently communicate to the camera, being able to confidently drive their audience to action towards your goals, right? They're able to build skill sets in client acquisition, right? From outbound messaging to managing an appointment set or booking calls, as well as the skill sets to actually turn those conversations into commitments, meet their clients where they're at, find problems, offer solutions, right? Articulate the value behind those solutions, and actually acquire clients for their coaching business. And so that's really where we're at, and that's the direction that we're going. You know, we really want to help coaches double down in their ability to turn content into sales, but more importantly, their ability to build that long-term brand and thought leadership where they're working with aligned clients. Their aligned clients are coming to them because of how good their content was and because of how they perceive that value. They're doing the work, they're getting the results, they're re-signing, and we're creating a more sustainable long-term coaching business. And so listen, it's been a hell of a journey. I learned a lot. And the reason why I share these, these wins and these losses with you guys is because I like to build my relationship with my audience, my prospective clients, like online, the same way I like to do it in person, which is with truth, transparency, vulnerability, and really just be here with you. And so I hope you found this valuable. And if you're a coach that maybe felt like, man, I thought I was tripping, thinking that I had to refine and make these sort of micro pivots, you're not alone, right? That's big, especially when you're launching into a new model. And so I wanted to be transparent about what we went through and sort of how we were able to work our way out of adversity and still to continue to provide value, and how we're going to continue to provide that value. And so moving forward, Content to Sales is a done for you service and coaching program. But not only that, we're working on our back end growth consulting offer, where literally after you come in and work with us, you're profitably making money as a coach. I'm actually able to offer you the opportunity to come in as a fractional CEO and really help you scale your coaching business to multiple 6 figures. All right, and so guys, I appreciate you tapping in, watching this video. Let me know your thoughts, like what things you need to change or what ways did you need to evolve so far in 2023 with your coaching business.